You are now tuned in to the FinTech Fridays special series for Tech Education Day. Tech Education Day will be hosted on October 31st by the Economic Development Department. This event aims to inspire and inform Bermuda's youth on technology and the career opportunities that this industry holds. Over the next few episodes, as we lead up to Education Day, you will hear from Bermudian leaders in Bermuda's tech and fintech space as they demystify concepts and discuss opportunities and various career paths in the field. So sit back and enjoy today's episode, and we hope to see you at Tech Education Day on October 31st.
Good morning, Charissa.
Good morning.
Welcome to the special series of FinTech Fridays, which we're dedicating to this year's Tech Education Day. Tech Education Day is taking place in person this coming Monday, October 31st, at the Hamilton Princess and Beach Resort. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you. So my name is Charissa Ball. I'm a lawyer, and I'm currently working at Carey Olson Bermuda. It's a relatively new-ish firm in Bermuda. And more importantly, I'm Bermudian. I was raised here. I went to BHS. At 16, I left for boarding school, went to university in England because I always wanted to be a lawyer. And then I came back to Bermuda and trained here. And then the rest of my story, I think we should get to it a little bit. In terms of FinTech and why we're actually having this conversation and why it's related to Tech Education Day is I'm very grateful to have been invited to be a moderator for the Q&A session during the day. And something that I'm very passionate about is just making sure that our youth understand their options. And it's something that I've been passionate about since I've, I guess, been a youth. I'm aging myself here, but it's something that I've been very passionate about. And I think that when it comes to innovation and where tech and fintech can take us, it's just so vast. It's just so amazing what's happening and what can happen. And that's why I'm just so excited to be part of this project and why we're having this chat.
I know, I'm excited too. Definitely excited to have you on board. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. With no hesitation, might I say. That was nice. That was refreshing. So yeah, it's interesting that you said you've always wanted to be a lawyer. Because some people, including me, sometimes don't even know what they want to be when they grow up and just kind of figure it out as they go. So for me, it's always fascinating to know that somebody has always known what they wanted to do. And so if you could tell us a little bit more about your kind of itinerary through, school, through law, and how you found yourself in this area of tech and fintech.
Sure. So it's a bit of a story, which we'll go through as quick as possible. So yes, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I think my parents will say I was about 8 when I told my father, who was general secretary at the BPSU, which is obviously a union here, and I sort of marched in there and said, I'm going to take your job one day. And it was a running joke in the office. And then as I got a little bit older, I think it was about 10, I realized I could do his job by advising people, helping people, which is what I saw him do, and be a lawyer and make a bit more money, which, everyone is interested in. So I always knew I wanted to do it. My parents supported me all the way through. And so, as I mentioned, I went to boarding school at 16 in Canada. I went straight to law school in England. So I stayed in England for 4 years. And then, unlike a lot of young Bermudian lawyers, I actually came straight home. So a lot of people generally will go to England and work there first, but for various reasons I came straight home. But I knew that I didn't want that to define me. I didn't want to be limited by Bermuda. I had already started traveling. My parents were big on travel and encouraged me and my sister to do so. And so I begged and requested and somewhat demanded an opportunity to work anywhere but Bermuda with my current job, and they allowed me to work in Hong Kong. So I actually worked and lived in Hong Kong for 8 years. I just returned back to Bermuda in February. And it's just been amazing to see such a different culture, to live a different culture, and also to bring that back home. And in terms of fintech and tech, Bermuda has thankfully been at the forefront of regulating this space. And that means the lawyers have to get involved. And I wanted to get involved. As soon as the consultation papers came out, as soon as they were like, anyone have thoughts on this? I was like, yes, me, please. Like, I would love to take this on top of the work I was doing. But I was just so passionate about what opportunities this could create. And just having an understanding of how the law interacts with fintech and how the law interacts with technology and the people on the island who need to also have a basic understanding of the law in order to make sure that they are doing this and working in this space successfully. That was just something I always wanted to get into. And sort of like my father, I just realized this is somewhere where I could really help Bermudians, and very much be involved in sort of fulfilling their dreams, in this space. So that's sort of where I am in terms of always wanting to be a lawyer, and then ended up in the fintech space because it was new and exciting, and I just put up my hand and said, leave it with me, I'll get involved. And then thankfully with Carey Olson, we are very involved in this space. One of my partners, Stephen Reese Davies, he is part of the team that drafted the legislation. So we're just very excited to be here. We also do pro bono services with Ignite. And so, we're just here to help, and we really just want to make sure that where we can, we're helping Bermuda and Bermudians grow in this space.
Beautiful. This exact mindset that I'm looking for when it comes to what we're trying to achieve for Tech Education Day. And so I think you're right. At least a foundational knowledge of law and the legal framework is important when somebody goes into this industry. And if I don't know it, then it's important for me to know somebody who has the knowledge, right? And so that's why your presence is going to provide quite a bit of a balance on Monday, because we're going to, as you know, we're going to have demonstrations, we're going to have talks, we're going to have presentations. And when you come in to facilitate that interactive Q&A and that kind of moderated session, pulling questions from the audience and giving students answers, then what the hope is that you will be able to provide that balanced view, right? Because you have the practical experience, not just the technical knowledge, but the practical experience as to how this is going to happen on more of a like the overarching framework, right, for Bermuda as a jurisdiction. And so as we're talking about this and thinking about this, I wonder what you would like for the audience to take away from that segment that you're going to be leading on Tech Education Day.
Well, what I really, really hope is that they take away that, ask questions. Just ask all the questions. I'm hoping that what they realize is that this is such a new area. Yes, Bermuda has regulated the space for a number of years, but that's gone through a number of reiterations and changes and updates. Tech is moving so quickly that I just think it's so important that what they take away is that you can always be learning more. You can always be challenging concepts that and there are people here on the island who want to see you grow, who want to see you succeed. And so I really, really hope that they see that the Bermuda fintech ecosystem is there to support them, and it's accessible and something that they can be involved in. And again, ask questions. Always ask all the questions. They're going to meet a number of people. The speakers, they're so passionate about this area, and they're so passionate about helping our students and our young people understand the space, which is why we're part of this whole day. So I just think, I just really hope that they take away that we're here to support them, and that they can be asking all the questions that they want, and to do so.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask questions, and importantly, don't be afraid to challenge what's being presented to you, right? Because not everything has to be a fact that you take on wholesale. So I'm glad that you're going into this with that mindset. So now we talked about where you wanted to, how you decided that you wanted to be a lawyer, how it all brought you here, and how we are kind of optimizing on that and capitalizing on your knowledge and experience to provide some value for our students on Monday. Now, let me ask you about what is next for you in this field?
Sure. At the moment, I think we're just focusing on keeping up as lawyers and regulators. We keep track of what's going on, not just in Bermuda, but also globally. For example, DAOs, which is something we can talk about on the day, if anyone's not familiar with the concept. That's decentralized autonomous organizations. That's something that's a hot topic at the moment. And so it's something that as lawyers, if someone comes to us and says, okay, well, how do we do this? We need to be able to understand exactly what they're talking about, and then see how that works from a legal framework and an overarching perspective. And so, to be honest, next for me is just keeping up, which
Yeah, I was gonna
you
say you
know,
look like you're having fun in this, so you're not trying to move away from this field anytime soon.
no, this is where I'm very happy to be, and you know, you just get to meet so many people and so many interesting people, you know, not only the speakers that are going to be speaking on Monday, but just, you know, everyone else in the space. It's just so collaborative and it's such a great community.
For
So I'm
sure.
just really happy to be part of it here in Bermuda.
For sure, yeah, and it's actually very deliberate that Tech Education Day is part of Tech Week. 'Cause as you know, starting Wednesday the 26th, that's tomorrow, it's the Tech Summit. And then the whole island for starting yesterday afternoon, the whole island has turned its attention to tech and fintech and what the prospects are and what the potential is for Bermuda in very realistic and relatable terms. So this is not just some airy-fairy stuff. This stuff is having an impact on the island as a jurisdiction as it tries to lead the charge, but also what it, you know, as it tries to provide for its own residents and population. So I'll give you another moment to kind of provide what's called the shameless plug. So where can we find you? I was very privileged to just be kind of introduced to you by somebody who's very dear to me. So I just had that very straight link to you. But how do we find you online? Where are you? And how do we keep up with what you're going, what you're doing?
Sure. So I have to say I'm the worst at social media. I'm just you would think I'm like very, very elderly and not interested. So I'm not all over social media, but what I do is that all my information is available online. As a lawyer, we want everyone to be accessible to us. Um, and so that's really the best way to get into contact with me. But then as a lawyer, I'm always on my emails, always on my phone. So people are free to just reach out to me at any point in time because we do work most hours of the day. So that's basically where you can find me. But, you know, I'm around. I think that's the main thing, that being in Bermuda is so amazing and unique, is that if you see someone on the street, just say hi, you
Yep.
know, just have a chat. I am passionate about this space. So if you want to have a chat about it, let me know. I mean, I had a chat with my hairdresser for about an hour the other day because we just started talking about it. So it's one of the things where I'm happy to just be around, be back home, be in the country, be part of educating our youth and making sure that all the opportunities and the borders that are just no longer there, that they're exploring that and able to, you know, succeed.
For sure. Yeah, that's very admirable of you to be so open to having conversations. And that's exactly, again, what we've been trying to do, right? Making this whole field very relatable so that as students are going through their, you know, picking career paths and picking, you know, GCSEs and not GCSEs and all of that and deciding where to go to school, that this field is actually quite, you know, it's something that not only do they understand, but it's also part of what they're considering as they're moving. And so it always makes me happy to hear that, you know, persons such as yourself are open to having the conversation and to guiding those that are coming behind you. So I'd like to thank you for that. And yeah, I'd like to also thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting our invitation to lead the segment. That's the interactive Q&A on Monday, 31st of October, during Tech Education Day at the Hamilton Princess and Beach Resort. Thank you, Charissa.
And thank you.